Hello and welcome back to my channel, which looks at ancient geomancy for contemporary living. I'm Fay Semple, and today we're diving into a topic that is deep to my heart: energetic boundaries. But before we start, if you're a seeker yearning for deeper connections and really an understanding about earth energies, you're in the right place. So why not like and subscribe and hit the notifications button so that when I upload a new episode, you get notified straight away. And I'd like to thank everybody that has been liking and subscribing over the past few weeks. Your support means the world to me. So many of us can feel disconnected in our modern lives. We're often searching for meaning and purpose. And I believe that through geomancy, it's almost a forgotten spiritual practice. It's not well known. We can realign ourselves with the earth's energies, and we really can create harmony in our homes, our businesses, our landscapes, our family relationships, and ourselves. So I want to explore in this episode how understanding energetic boundaries and in fact physical boundaries can really help transform our lives as we look at the boundaries of the spaces around us. So energetic boundaries, really, what are they? So boundaries are more than just physical lines in the sand. We have our property boundary, and we may not have a fence up, but we know where our property lives. The same as we ourselves have boundaries. We have personal boundaries. Well, those personal boundaries really extend to our property. We can put up a physical fence, but it's basically, this is my space. This is the space that belongs to me and my family. This is our little patch of the earth where we live, where we're at our most vulnerable in our home. But this boundary, as our own boundaries, the boundaries of our boundaries and the boundaries of the places that we live, are really an intimate interface between what's inside and what's outside. So that my own energetic boundaries are my energy field, my aura, and that says this is mine and that's outside of me. And that boundary line is a dynamic interface in how I negotiate the world around me. And the same is in geomancy and property boundaries. It's a dynamic interface between what do I want to let into my property? What do I want to go out there into the world and do? So through geomancy, we look at boundaries in many ways. We look at boundaries of human intention. We look at things that might be geographical or geological, like water, caverns, but also the landscape itself around, like mountain ranges and shorelines. There are all sorts of boundaries. So each boundary has its own energy. And they can be influenced by human psychic boundaries that says this is my property, and also, of course, legal property boundaries. We have a deed. We have a deed of ownership that says this is my patch of the earth. It belongs to me. And, I can decide who comes in and, whatever, but this property is mine. This is my little patch of the earth where I can exist, where I can eat, sleep, work, rest, dream, cry, whatever it is we want to do within those spaces. So let's start with having a look at human intention. The nature of your human intention influences the nature of the boundary. So is it permeable or non-permeable? So, I have boundaries myself that is a brick wall. No, that is a line that does not get crossed. Whatever that boundary meant, maybe you don't like lies. I don't engage with people who lie. That's it. That is a line I will not cross. Or are they more permeable? So, when we engage perhaps with people at work, I might not particularly like this person at work. You might think to yourself, but I've got to have a relationship with them because we work. So it's more permeable. So there are boundaries that are permeable, and there are boundaries that are non-permeable, if you like. So conscious intent is powerful enough to establish an energetic boundary, and that shapes the energy flow in your space. So your intention about your property boundary or your living area boundary or your farm boundary or whatever it is, however much space of earth you have, the business boundary, that intention that just says this is mine is enough to establish what we call a psychic boundary, and that shapes the energy flow in our space. It says, this is what I want to come into my space, and this is what I don't. So for instance, it's, commercial properties have a very different boundary than domestic properties. So we also need to look in terms of geomancy at a concept called guardian spirits, or the spirit of place. So in geomancy terms, every place has its own spirit, whether it's a home, whether it's a sacred site, whether it's a commercial property. You'd have the spirit of your business if it's a commercial property. We delve into the presence of guardian spirits and the spirit of place. So this is an ancient term. The Romans called it the genius loci, but they recognized every sort of patch of ground blended into one another in these different areas, and each area was governed by a spirit or a god, whatever you wish to call it. And we want to ensure that what we do, that the spirit of place understands the current purpose of the space, what we're going to do with it. Is it domestic? Is it commercial? Is it a business? Is it somewhere I want to sleep? Is it somewhere where my work area is? But we want to make sure that the spirit of place understands that we are living in this space. Maybe it wasn't a space that people lived in. Maybe it was a field and you've put a house on it. You want to make sure that the spirit of place understands that it is now a space of human habitation, whereas before it was just natural. And we want to understand the current purpose of what we're putting that space to. And the spirit of place needs to understand who we are as occupants. Hello, I've now come to live here. And this is my goal for living in this house. I want to have healthy relationships. I've come to have a family, or I've come to start a business, or I've come to grow my career, or I've come to retire. What is it that my purpose is? What are my goals for this space? And we want to actively communicate that to the spirit of place, so it understands how we sit within these sort of network of energy ecologies that we exist in everywhere. We have all sorts of nested energy ecologies that we live in. There's my own energy, the energy of my family, the energy of my home, the energy of my society, the energy of my profession, the energy of my beliefs, the energy of my politics. There's all these sort of nested energy ecologies, and the landscape one almost sits underneath all of them, because everything we do in that space, everything we believe, we do it here in our body, in our mind, in the spaces that we exist. Of course, our mind isn't just in our brain, but we as a person have all those things about us, but we carry them with us. And where we live is where we hold them all. So, we'd also look at the sort of boundaries of, sacred space, where we want to have some kind of connection or dialogue with God, divine, universal consciousness. We have secular spaces where we live and work. And, the living spaces have a different boundary than work spaces. So, is your space, for instance, serving its original purpose? So we might have turned a commercial building that was once a hustling, busy enterprise of commerce and sales and trade or work or craft, and now we're living in it. Those two require a very different energy. Conversely, we might be in a domestic property. It's very calm, very laid back, but we're trying to run a business from it, and it might lack that dynamism. It might lack the energies that are compatible with its use. So we want to make sure, as I say, that the energies of space are compatible with its use. And you need to be guided then when we're working with geomantic techniques to assess and realign those energies along with the spirit of place. So we're doing it in relationship with the spirit of place to support our life path and our goals. So as I say, with domestic property energetic boundaries, for instance, we might say, well, we're a family that likes to keep ourselves to ourselves. We don't like a lot of visitors. This is our little nest. Whereas a commercial property, that energetic boundary is a dynamic interface between what you want to allow in. You need to allow buying customers in. You need to allow goods and services in. You need to allow your things out. And you need to be clear on that. So the right things are coming in and the right things are going out. And that'll help you exclude the things that you don't want to come in. So there are lots of ways we can use energetic and geographical landscape boundaries to support how we use the place. And we need to be clear on how we're using the space. And we need to communicate that to the spirit of place so that we can work in harmony with it and we can work in alignment with the prevailing energies. And it also can support us, because generally when we're really tuning into the spirit of place, They want whatever is in that space to thrive. So when we're, living somewhere, or we want to, create a garden where it's not been gardened before or whatever, we can work with the spirit of place and it can understand what we're trying to achieve. It's about communicating. We vision our desired outcome. We vision the end result. That's what we focus our intention on. That's where we focus all our activities, and then not necessarily the stages in between. So we can communicate that vision to the spirit of place, so it can see what we want, and then it can send us the things that we need to achieve that. The right people will show up, the right opportunities, the right whatever will then show up in our path, so we can create that desired outcome. So it is very much a relationship. The spirit of place listens to us and says, that person living there would like to do so and so. That's their vision. I can see their vision. So then energy moves and twists and communicates to you and brings you the things that you need to make sure that happens. So if you'd like to learn more about working with earth energy, then you can embark on my free Earth Energy Masterclass, which starts on the 24th of February, runs through to the 28th. And really, we're going to be looking at understanding earth energy. We're going to be looking at diagnosing when there are problems in the energy. So maybe your energetic boundaries aren't very good. Maybe the right things aren't coming to you. Maybe the spirit of place isn't even aware that you live here. It doesn't know who you are. So we're going to be looking at that, and then we're going to be looking at how we can bring these things into balance. So we've got a more harmonious and energized place from which to take the actions we need to take in our family, in our business, whatever it may be, so that we're making the most of the spaces that we inhabit. So that's what we're going to be doing. So if you're ready to dive into all that, if you're ready to make your life, transform your life really and the world around you, just click the link in the description to join the Earth Energy Masterclass, and let's journey together towards spiritual alignment and a deeper connection to the Earth's creative energies that bring things into being. Thanks again for joining me. Like and subscribe, and I will see you for the next episode. See you soon.